Welcome to the It's All About Missions podcast with Brady Van Winkle, as we endeavor to talk about missions and the need for the gospel all around the world. We hope we can help you find your place in world evangelism. And for questions or for more information, please check out it'sallaboutmissions.com. And now we hope you enjoy the show. Hello, and thank you for joining us on this week's episode of It's All About Missions Country of the Week Country Spotlight. And I do want to apologize for a little bit of a break there between things going on here in Turkey and sicknesses and things like that. It's been a crazy last couple months, but now that we have a little bit of time, hopefully we'll be able to jump back in this, and every single week we'll be producing this out until we get to all the countries of the world. And I've had someone helping me gather all the information, so it makes it a little bit easier to record these podcasts. And so this week we're going to jump into the area of Europe, and we're going to look at the country of Italy. And I know right now Italy is in quite a big situation with the COVID virus, with many people dying there. And because of that, I wanted to bring the country to light and to talk about it and the needs there. Italy is a country of right around 60 million people. The language there is Italian. If you didn't know that, Italian. And then the capital city and the largest city are Rome. Rome has a population of about almost 3 million people. There are also several other larger cities and important cities there. A lot of people would know Venice, but cities that have over a population of 1 million, you have Milan, you also have Naples and Turin. All those cities have a population of over 1 million, and the main religion there in Italy is going to be Catholicism, Roman Catholicism. Basically, 83% of the country would be considered Catholic. Interesting statistic I found, though, and what was given to me was that 55% would be nominal, meaning they occasionally would go to the church, they occasionally go to a priest or different things like that, but only 28% are practicing. And on top of that, there's about 14% that would be non-religious or atheist, and 2% Muslim in the country. And there's a great need for the gospel there in Italy, not only because of now there's been many, many people who have died, but there's just a great need because of the spread of Catholicism all throughout there and the false doctrine. And yes, people say, oh, it's Catholic, it's close. It's not close, because they tell people they have to work and do all these good things to get to heaven. We need to pray for the country of Italy. We need to pray for the missionaries that are working there right now, that God can, one, protect them, but also that God will give them strength that they can share the gospel with people in this trying time and in the future, and God open up doors. But also we need to pray for Italian Christians, that God will give them boldness, and that God will give them the boldness to share the gospel with friends and family workers and co-workers. We need to pray for the churches there, that God will strengthen them and keep them open and keep them going. So we need to pray for the Italian people. There's almost 60 million people lost and headed straight towards hell. Many of them, they don't know the gospel. They don't realize they're headed straight to hell. So they think they're fine. They think they're okay because they're blinded by a religion that tells them they have to work and do all these good things. And it breaks my heart to see it. But we need to pray for the country of Italy. We need to pray that God will raise up some more laborers to go there. We need to pray for those missionaries that are laboring there. We also need to pray, though, for those Italian pastors that are there preaching the gospel and sharing the gospel, the ones that are Christians that are sharing the gospel, that God will embolden them, that God will strengthen them, that God will give them fruit for their labor. We need to pray, though, that God will raise up an army of people to go to the country of Italy. The sad reality about the Europe is very few people want to go there because they think it's hard, it's difficult, and it may be a little bit hard, maybe a little difficult, but guess what? We still serve a God that said that he could do the impossible. We still serve a God who said, go take the gospel to the whole world. He didn't say, go take the gospel, go ye therefore to the whole world, unless it's hard, unless the people won't receive. He said, go preach the gospel to the whole world, and we need to go take the gospel and preach to the whole world. We need to take the gospel. We'll be praying this week for the country of Italy. We need to be asking God, how can we help get the gospel to the country of Italy? Are you praying for the people of Italy, that God will work there and that we can see Italy reach with the gospel in this generation? I hope you'll be doing all that you can this week to be praying for the country of Italy, that it can be reached with the gospel in this generation, but also that you, where you are, will be endeavoring to do all that you can, not only by praying, but by giving, by going, by discipling, by sharing the gospel, because it is our responsibility as Christians to see the world reach with the gospel in this generation. And I'm praying that we can not only pray about it, but in this generation, that God will work, God will move, and the world will be reached with the gospel in this generation. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of It's All About Missions. And we'd like to ask you to do a couple things for us. The first thing I ask you to do, so if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date when all of our new episodes drop. And that way, as a new episode comes, you'll get a notification that lets you know, hey, we've got a new episode of It's All About Missions. Second thing I ask you to do, if you haven't yet, please make sure to leave us a review. These reviews are very vital, and they help us out, and they help other people to see us in the podcast player of choice. They'll see us and see those reviews and say, hey, I want to check out this podcast. And lastly, one other thing I'd like you to do, why don't you share share us with a friend, a family member, somebody you know, and say, hey, why don't you go over and check out It's All About Missions. That'll help us grow our audience, help people to know more about It's All About Missions, and guess what? It'll help more people get involved in reaching the world with the gospel. I want to challenge you to know that the Bible, it's all about missions. And as a Christian, your life should be all about missions. And what are you going to do to impact the world with the gospel in this generation?